Wow, it hasn't stopped raining here in 24 hours. It's coming down hard. It's coming down like you're in a jungle or something like that. But even in the jungle, it rains for a little while, then it stops. It's been nonstop here. It's totally overwhelmed New York and much of the eastern seaboard. And you know what would be nice right about now? A government that worked, a government that maybe prepared for this stuff ahead of time. That fixed the leaks that have been there for decades, right? But we don't have a government that's particularly interested in that stuff lately, right? No, this is hard work, and it's not glamorous, but it's important. It's what we really depend on government for, not this. Virtue signaling, talking about Black Lives Matter, right? This is so far outside their job description, and so is this. Transgenders in schools. Yeah, Eric Adams, our goofy mayor, who unbelievably has actually convinced certain conservatives out there that he somehow, gets it. He doesn't. He is a fool. I'm telling you. Now, on a day like today, yeah, he tries to look serious. He puts on the tie and he's out there and he's just, but no, day in and day out, government is not what you do during a crisis. It's actually what you do in preparation of the crisis, in a way, huh? And we're not prepared. As a country, we're not prepared when we have a government as silly as this.
I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential. According to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today.
Are we topless at the White House?
Woohoo! I know it's a very big government, and you could say, well, it doesn't matter. The government's doing all kinds of things, but it really does come from the top. The direction, the priorities. If you work somewhere and your boss is talking about everything other than the product, other than the service your company is supposed to provide, that company would be in trouble. So, the shutdown, potentially. I'm not particularly worried. I mean, whatever happens, happens at this point. I know, and I knew, no matter what, that the military would still get their money. We've been through this before. They always get paid, and they always try to scare us ahead of time.
Let's be clear. If the government shuts down, that means members of Congress, members of the U.S. military are going to have to continue to work and not get paid.
The first and most immediate impact, Michael, is that those 1.3 million active duty troops won't get paid.
If, in fact, there's a government shutdown and they're not getting paid, then this could really impact things like paying, feeding their families, paying their rent.
Goodness. Oh, wow. How can you not support the troops at a moment like this? They're always playing this game. And you know who helps them play that game? Woke political generals like Milley. His last day on the job today. Thank goodness. Although, I'd actually like to see him recalled to active duty, which you might be able to do at some point, because this guy, I believe he broke the law. Certainly the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and it could happen. He could be recalled to active duty under another president and charged. First off, at his retirement ceremony, here's a humble brag. We call this a humble brag.
And let me thank my family and friends that are here. Conclude my classmates from Princeton, so maybe we could hear you shout. That was pretty weak, actually, so not sure what to make of that.
Let me tell you what to make of that, all right? He knew the whole class of 1980 Princeton wasn't there. This is a way that he can tell everybody, I went to an Ivy League school. This video kind of went viral today. Oh, wow, the Princeton people don't like him. There were no Princeton people there, but he got to say he went to Princeton. That's his big claim to fame. Bad guy, very bad guy. He sabotaged the country. He did. And he brags about it.
We are unique among the world's militaries. We don't take an oath to a country. We don't take an oath to a tribe. We don't take an oath to a religion. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution, and we take an oath to the idea that as America and we're willing to die to protect it.
Yeah. This is a man who brags about that oath a lot. I'll get to the oath actually right now. This is the oath of office that service members take. Officers take it, enlisted people take it. It is an oath where you do kind of swear to protect and defend the Constitution. Hey, Richard Gere, remember him? An officer in a jail. He took the oath. People love that movie. It was a great movie. But let's go to the oath of office that most of the military takes, okay, that Milley was bragging about. And it's in there. You solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Yep, definitely in there. But there are a few other things in there. That I will obey the orders of the President of the United States. That's in there. Also, according to regulations in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God, you got to follow that stuff as well. And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office. And the duties of the office include being respectful of those above you, like the commissioned officer, the president above Milley. Any person subject to this chapter who behaves with disrespect toward his superior commissioned officer shall be punished as a court-martial may direct. And I know that Milley violated Article 89. There are lots to choose from, lots of episodes, but I'll go back to the most famous and the most misinterpreted by our fake news. They thought this was a profile in courage, this moment. So there's Milley, all right, 20 feet behind President Trump, just leaving the White House. Somehow the fake news and the people he colluded with said that you shouldn't have done this, you need to apologize for it. And he did. This moment right here, you could court-martial him for.
As many of you saw, the result of the photograph of me at Lafayette Square last week, that sparked a national debate about the role of the military in civil society. I should not have been there.
I mean, he's now indirectly saying that the president committed the mistake. He said this in the summer of 2020, in the middle of an election year. He's making a spectacle out of himself for political reasons because he's working against Trump and with the swamp to get Trump out. Next, at that same speech, he says something that at first glance, if you're not really concentrating, you may think, well, that sounds wonderful, what he's talking about. It's not. It's dangerous.
All of us in uniform are willing to die for that idea, the idea that is America. And so we must also be willing to live for that idea. For freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to peacefully assemble, and freedom to vote, and freedom to believe as you wish in your religion. These are essential freedoms that are the cornerstone of our country. Americans have spilled their blood to protect them in the past, and they continue to be worth fighting for. This we will defend.
So what's the problem here? I know, at first glance, no problem. Number one, we should not be lectured by anybody in the military about what basic freedoms we have in America. There's something wrong with that. We know that. Why are you almost acting like this is within your power somehow? And this we will defend. That's not up to you. The commander-in-chief, he's in charge, or she someday. He seems to be going rogue here. I really believe that this is a problem, a major problem that's not going away. Even though he's gone, it's not gone as a problem. I'll prove it to you in a moment. Something else here. This is the military advisor, the chief military advisor to the president. On January 6th, he told the committee that he was upset that the president didn't call him, that the president owed him a phone call. It doesn't work that way. You're advising. You have to tell the president. You bring the information to the president, not the other way around. Watch.
Yeah. Hey, the commander-in-chief, you got an assault going on the capital of the United States of America. And there's nothing. No call, nothing, zero.
No call, no nothing, zero. What about taking the initiative, soldier? Unbelievable. And there's more. And he's bragging. And the more he brags, the more he gets himself in trouble. I'm telling you, this is not over. He may be out of the military officially, but he can be called back. Now, his successor is a guy named C.Q. Brown. He was sworn in today at Fort Myer. There he is on the left, Milley's on the right, and you know who's in the middle there. And he said something that, again, sounds wonderful, but it's very weird.
I've been honored, blessed, and focused on the task ahead. Today is no exception. President Biden, Vice President Harris, thank you for your trust and confidence that you placed in me.
Thank you, President Biden and Vice President Harris, for the trust and confidence you've placed in me. Under ordinary circumstances, that would not be weird, but it is. Please remember that, okay? I'll be coming back to it in a moment. First, though, we got to go to the summer of 2020, when another general took it upon himself to make wildly political statements in the middle of a presidential campaign. He's a four-star general in charge of Air Force Forces Pacific at this moment.
Here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how full I am with emotion, not just for George Floyd, but the many African Americans that have suffered the same fate as George Floyd. I'm thinking about protests in my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, the equality expressed in our Declaration of Independence and the Constitution that I've sworn my adult life to support and defend. I'm thinking about my sister and I being the only African Americans in our entire elementary school and trying to fit in. I'm thinking about then going to a high school where roughly half the students were African American and trying to fit in. I'm thinking about the airmen that have lived through similar experiences and feelings as mine, or who were either consciously or unconsciously unfairly treated.
A couple of things. August 8th, 2020. That is June, July, more than 2 months after George Floyd died. He chooses this date to make a statement. Why is that? And why the emotion? Like it happened the day before, hours before, like he witnessed it himself personally with his own eyes. Why the trauma? It's hyper political in the middle of a campaign. Now, he was already selected to be the head of the Air Force at this moment, right? He's going to be the full four-star general running the Air Force. President Trump was in the Oval Office with him the day he was sworn in. President Trump says some nice things about the guy. And listen to how the general reacts. He's got the biggest job of his life right now. I've seen this whole thing, okay? Watch.
First of all, appreciate the honor to be back in the Oval Office. It was back on January 15th, I remember it well, when I came here for my interview. And I appreciate the trust and confidence from you, the Vice President, Secretary Esper, Secretary Barrett, General Goldfein, and the rest of the Air Force leadership. It is a distinct honor for me to have this opportunity. And so I feel very honored and blessed, and I enjoy serving. So I really thank my family, because they get a vote on this, and my parents and my sister, in-laws, brother-in-law, and those that aren't here today, for all they've done to help me be who I am.
He's thanking people who aren't even in the room, but not thanking the President of the United States who's right in front of him. He appreciates the honor. He loves to serve. I thank my family. I thank my cousin Ralph. He doesn't thank the President of the United States. He totally thanked Biden and Harris, right? You see this? This is a soft coup they were doing. And this is what we're seeing publicly. What were they doing behind the scenes? President Trump, he's a pretty good has a good read of people. He knew what was going on. He picked up on it. Watch.
Go out there and do it. Greatest country in the world. And you have all those brand new F-35s. You have all that. You have equipment like you didn't have 2 or 3 years ago, I can tell you. Congratulations. Congratulations, everybody.
Isn't that something? The man who made it kind of looks lonely almost, and everybody thanking each other, but not the man who made it happen. He did thank Biden and Harris. You saw that, right? Right to them, right to their face. Thank you. Why? Well, they helped each other in the election with that crazy political statement about George Floyd. They were working together all along. But I tell you what, I would entrust him. A lot of people in the military, in the upper ranks, do not deserve trust right now. And he actually already proved that. Remember when Biden took that fall at the Air Force Academy. Ooh, that was bad, right? Here he goes. Ooh, that's bad. People jump up to help. Not quite everybody jumped up to help. One person just sat there, and if you look closely, he's got a bit of a smile on his face. That's the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, C.Q. Brown. I'd keep an eye on him, and we'll be right back.